This is a little introduction to the spaced attention system that I've been trying out. This was inspired by Andy Tushek, and he is trying to be very thoughtful about how to introduce all of these ideas to the world. So I certainly don't want to claim this is some kind of canonical system. It's just what I've been playing with and enjoying recently. So take from it what you will. So basically, I spend all my time in Rome in these daily pages, like 90% of my time, and what's driving me to work in here is these backlinks to the daily pages that are introduced by the spaced dates. And so if you're not familiar with Roam Toolkit, there's basically a keyword shortcut that will add this date and these two numbers to any block. The interval is basically how long until you review it. The factor is kind of like a difficulty. And then the date is when that date, the next time for you to review it. So the way I've been doing this is creating pages that I'm calling prompts that have a little emoji there to distinguish them. And the prompts, I'm going to this one, are tagged, and they have this line called follow up, which has the spaced repetition. So daily notes. So some of these prompts are questions. Some of them are kind of basically what I'm going for is the most evocative possible title. So a question can evoke me to try to answer that question. Get better at programming is certainly prompting me to try to do that. And some of them are just what's new in some kind of topic, and that's a good way for me to make sure I'm following up on things that I'm interested in. So let's see. So this one, what's enabled by video learning, something that I really think about and write. So I'm not going to do that right now. So get better at programming. I have kind of a list of newsletters, websites, podcasts that are of interest in this category, but I actually know that what I want to do is read a book I learned about in another podcast called Graphic Simplicity by Eric Norman. So let me pull that up. I believe there are a bunch of free chapters which I can start reading. I'm not going to do that here, but what I'm going to do is actually create a new prompt. So I'll do simplicity, and so why create this as a prompt? Like if I'm going to read a book from cover to cover, I'm just going to do that without creating a Roam page about it. That is, without creating a prompt. I'll probably write about it in Roam. But the reason to create a prompt for this is that I don't plan to read it cover to cover. I just want to read about it every once in a while and based on the interest, continue or not. So that's what the prompt is going to allow me to do. Go ahead and paste the URL there. Back to my daily pages. So I might do this later today. So one thing I like about this approach is that get better at programming is a very generic prompt. I have to think about what that means. I have to follow up with some of these broad sources to figure out specifically what I want to do. And The other thing is that based on the spaced repetition algorithm, that's going to get farther and farther out over time. It's going to be an exponential increase in interval. So, but I want to get better at programming very frequently. So my thinking is that by creating these new prompts, even though that one prompt gets exponentially accelerated out, these new prompts will come kind of take over for me to get familiar with them. So those are the basic prompts. So if I continue to go through culture wars, actually I know that if I open this page up, yeah, I know that the big news right now is this resignation letter. And so through that, that's probably what I'll write about today. But I also have this newsletter, this Twitter accounts that are related to that topic. And then likewise, I have education research. So, for example, mostly I have newsletters that open in Gmail. But in this example, I have everything that Scholar tells me about. New articles from people that I follow. So rather than dealing with all of these emails as they come in, just only doing those as prompted by the system. So that's really what this allows. Like rather than starting my day off by going to Twitter and whatever is blasted at my attention, I actually can be intentional and go to specific people on Twitter or whatever else I'm doing. And that really helps me actually be better at writing, being productive in the topics that I'm interested in rather than just reading and being overwhelmed. So just to finish this off, these are kind of more normal spaced repetition files. So if I remember how to adjust the date, which is another feature of Roam Toolkit. Control up, control down. I just do some big little example here that I can play with. That. A little hard because I wasn't remembering this control out. To there and so let me actually put this underneath the better programming just to keep that reference. And last thing is I want to go back to this what I wrote last night just to talk about how I come up with prompts, because this is the first time I was using this prompt about the Black Lives Matter movement. Basically, I listened to a podcast, Radio Lab, about how the Mississippi flag is finally going to be changed to remove the Confederate flag. And so I'm thinking of how to talk about that in a way that will be generative of me coming to. So this is the Radio Lab, talking about the story. So there are a couple, I think a few things I took away from this. But basically, what I'm doing here is aggregating related things, which is effects of the Black Lives Matter movement, into something where I can, over time, look at what I've recorded. So far just one thing, but over time look at what I've aggregated and see what kind of patterns occur to me. And I could also do something. I could go deeper into something particular, so I could say what is the prevalence today, and turn that into a prompt if I wanted to. this, just notice is related to some of the things I've been thinking about around corporations and antitrust law, so I can connect that as well. If I thought that really made sense here. So that's just, again, aggregating patterns into a prompt for going deeper.